The fifth round of the 2019 Buckmore Park Summer Pro Series takes place on a gorgeous July afternoon here in Kent, and a huge grid of 38 drivers lining up at the heart of British karting, the biggest grid we have had for a Buckmore Park Summer Pro Series round so far this year. Jake Taplin has taken the majority of the overall wins this year, and he heads the super light points heading into this round. But it's round 4 winner Peter Knight, who topped a terrific three-way battle at the front of the field last time out, who has set pole position in the top 10 shootout in qualifying 3. Anthony Amato starts alongside him. Guest commentator alongside me today is Alex Raby. I'm certainly looking forward to today's event.
Absolutely, Dave. World Superbike summer break for me. Great to be back in the UK and looking forward to getting underway with some four-wheeled action. Let's take a look at the grid then, starting with the drivers who made it through to Q3, 10 of them. Peter Knight, the round 4 winner, goes on pole alongside Anthony Amato, looking to add to his 2 podiums. Jake Taplin, round 1 and round 3 winner, lines up alongside Taylor Senior, making a 3rd appearance this season. Lightweight pole sitter Ryan Horton starts from P5 alongside Adam Harding. Row number 4 is with Paul Gasson, the round 2 and round 4 lightweight winner alongside Ben Scott. Row 5, Rob Jones, and heavyweight pole sitter Oliver Smith, who starts from P10. Row number 6 then with Luke Walker and Adam Harrod, who failed to make the cut from Q2, the top performers not to make it through. Bailey Morgan and lightweight points leader Max Mooney lining up on row number 7. Row 8, Liam Conway and Dan Walker. Ramonas Sakauskas and Aidan Hayden next up in 17th and 18th positions on the grid. And positions 19 and 20, James Lee and Ashley West. As Dave already said, a 38 driver grid here today at Buckmore Park. Plenty of action to look forward to here.
There certainly is, yes. So Peter Knight looking for his 2nd consecutive win. It was an incredible battle at the front of the field last time out. 1 hour on the clock then as we wait for the countdown to begin to the green lights. A reminder that the super light class drivers have the yellow number plates. The lightweights have the white numbers on the black backgrounds. The heavyweights, the white numbers on the blue background. The heavyweight points leader, meanwhile, failed to make the cut into Q2. He's down in 27th on the grid here. So we get ready for the green light. There is the green light, and we are underway. It's a good start by Peter Knight in the number 4. Anthony Amato slots in behind him, tries to take the inside line for the first corner at Conway's, but it is the number 4 kart that has held the lead. Good start by Peter Knight, side by side for 3rd. Jake Taplin, the super light points leader, giving chase to the front row men. Then we've got the number 8 kart, which is Adam Harding. Anthony Amato perhaps needs the points more than anyone else. Failed to finish round 4. He's side by side with Jake Taplin for 2nd place, but they're battling already, allowing Pete Knight to begin to build up a lead.
Quite a close pack now developing from 4th position down. You can see them all streaming their way down to the bottom of the circuit and towards Garda, nose to tail for 2nd and 3rd positions as well. But that top 3 starting to break away, and it's a trend we've seen throughout 2019 so far, where those front few drivers have been able to make the break.
Certainly making a break here is Peter Knight. Already a warning for track limits going out to the lightweight number 2. That's Dante Dillon. It's the leaders across the line to complete the opening lap then. Peter Knight's a bit of a slide there going into hairpin 1. Jake Taplin is up into 2nd place. He's got ahead of Anthony Amato. Then Adam Harding in 4th place. 5th we've got Taylor Senior. And then 6th we've got the lightweight class leader Ryan Horton on the number 10 karts. Lead of 0.6 of a second, quite a large lead for just 1 lap of the Buckmore circuit as they go down towards Paddock Bend for the 2nd time, and the short blast up towards Garda in the summer sunshine before they turn towards home.
At the end of the opening lap, 7/10 of a second separating Peter Knight from Jake Taplin. It looks to me as though Taplin's starting to back the rest of the pack up, because there's no way that gap is now half a second between 3rd and 4th positions. They come over the line then to complete lap number 2. And it's a second that Knight has in hand over Taplin, and then a big old train behind the number 7. In fact, they're all almost going side by side for 3rd place as well. Taplin, Amato, Harding and Senior, and running a little bit wide there off the first hairpin, Jake Taplin. Amato not close enough to capitalise this time around, but as you can see, they're absolutely queuing up behind 2nd place Taplin.
Yes, Jake Taplin, we're normally used to seeing him pull away at the front of the field, but really having to give best to the very quick-looking Peter Knight. Almost cut it too fine there, coming down the sweeper into the paddock bend. He nearly clipped the tyres on the inside, just cutting it very fine there. He stretched his lead to over a second ahead of Jake Taplin. Amato in third, then Harding, Senior, Horton and Paul Gasson, second of the lightweight category. Oliver Smith in 8th place leads the heavyweights.
Harding got a really good run up the hill. Will he look to the inside into turn number 1? No opportunity for the moment at least on Anthony Amato, who continues to hold third position. Action going on further behind us. Paul Gasson has lost the place to Oliver Smith. Smith doing a great job as the best heavyweight runner at the moment in P7. So progress by Smith, but there's a 2-second gap now behind 6th place Ryan Horton to Smith. We're watching the group from 2nd position down, and what a group it is. Amato still trying to make lines on Jake Taplin, who holds that 2nd place.
Taplin just about holds it there as they go through Pullmans into paddock, as Amato all over the back of him here. He gives him a little bit of Morse code on the bumper as they head up towards Garda. The lead will head round the looping right-hander and then into Cafe Corner to complete his 4th lap. Amato into 2nd place. He's got past Jake Taplin up at Garda, so it's Amato 2nd. Taplin tries to fight back as they go up towards Conway's, then into Henry's. Behind them is Adam Harding in 4th place. It's going to be 5 line astern once again because Horton closing back up on the number 10.
Taplin diving down the inside into hairpin 1, manages to recover 2nd place, and Adam Harding had a look at trying to get through at the same time, and Anthony Amato's ended up all the way offline. Great move from Amato last lap around at the bottom end of the circuit, lined himself up for paddock bend, made a long straight of it into Garda and swept through up the inside line. Will he be able to make the same move this lap around?
He's going to try his hardest here, Anthony Amato. We know he's stronger on this lower section of the circuit. They climb back up towards Garda. Is it going to be the 7 or the 2 in 2nd place as they come through this time? Knight's already gone through, and it's Taplin in 2nd place as they come through this time, ahead of Anthony Amato, swapping places like there's no tomorrow here. And now the number 6 of Taylor Senior, perhaps the best we've seen him run this year. He's missed a couple of rounds, so he needs points, closing up on the number 8 of Adam Harding.
New personal best lap last time around from Jake Taplin. He's really trying to get the hammer down, but he's run wide there off hairpin 1. Leaves a gap there on hairpin 2. Exploiting it is Anthony Amato. Taplin runs out all the way onto the runoff area. He goes side by side through the S's. He's going to have to be very determined coming off the chicane there, and he does manage to hold on to position. He's made a large gap as well for Adam Harding to try and slot through, and that's disaster for Anthony Amato. He's going to lose 3 positions in a matter of 4 turns. Amato will try and hang it out around the outside line on Garda, but he's found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time there, Amato.
Yes, he lost his racing line there. He's lost 3 positions because Taplin, Harding and Senior have all got through. They head up over the line once again. Ryan Horton hanging on behind them. He leads Ben Scott and Adam Harrod in the battle for the lead of the lightweight class. Horton increasing his lead that time through. Leading the heavyweights further back is Ollie Smith, who slipped to 13th place. And now Adam Harding in 3rd place, all over the back of Jake Taplin. Taylor Senior with the white helmet and the blue race suits having a look there as well, as Harding had a look coming out of hairpin 2 into Symes Sweep. Down the hill they go all the time. This group battling each other. Peter Knight's being able to get away.
Yes, almost 3 seconds ahead now at the front of the field after 6 completed laps here at Buckmore Park is Peter Knight. And Jake Taplin, who hasn't been out of the top 2 positions in any of the 4 rounds so far in 2019, is struggling here to hold on to that P2. He's backing the pack up. Amato's trying to capitalise down the inside of Taylor Senior as they come through Cafe Curve. He then chops his nose off. Thankfully, as we saw, I think Paul Gasson there rejoining the circuit from pit lane, they all managed to avoid him. There's plenty of side-by-side action up here at the front.
That was indeed Paul Gasson who's been into the pits with a problem. That's disaster for his hopes potentially in the lightweight class, because he's one of the contenders for the championship this year. He's gone a lap down. It's Taplin again, runs wide off hairpin 2, doing everything he can to hold off Adam Harding for 2nd overall and 2nd in the super light class, who currently hold the first 5 positions. We head down towards paddock bend once again. Adam Harding a little bit sideways there, runs slightly wide on the exit, loses out to the number 2 there of Anthony Amato. Will we see the number 2 in 3rd place? Indeed we will, as they come towards Cafe Corner once again. He's on the tail of Jake Taplin again now, Anthony Amato, and now Taylor Senior trying to get into this mix, and Ryan Horton as well.
Amato's gone to the outside because Taplin was really defending into turn number 1, but the risk here is he's going to get hung up to dry into hairpin 1. Harding goes through on the inside, and Taylor Senior pops through on the inside as well. Amato gets boxed in. He's got the inside line for hairpin 2, so should be able to cover off the lightweight leader Ryan Horton, who sits in 6th position. But once again, Amato, wrong place, wrong time, and he's down to P5.
Down the hill they head towards paddock bend once again. Jake Taplin holding off Adam Harding, the best we've seen him run so far in the 2019 BP Pro Summer Series. There is our leader going through, Peter Knight, up towards the completion of his 9th lap. Jake Taplin almost being pushed there by Adam Harding. He wants second place away. Up over the starting grid they head. Taylor Senior's up to 4th as well, and Amato down to 5th.
Taplin covering the inside again into turn number 1. He knows that it's next to impossible to get all the way around the outside there, and again he's defending down the inside. The problem is he's making himself really slow here, not as slow as Taylor Senior is going to be coming off hairpin number 1. He goes up into the back of the driver directly ahead of him. That's the problem. We've got real bunching from second position down, not quite so much now.
Well, something had to give there going into hairpin 1, and that something unfortunately was Taylor Senior, who drops back into the clutches of Ben Scott in the number 9 karts. Now he's running second in the lightweight category, still in 7th overall. That means that Taylor Senior is down to 6th overall as the rest of them stream through towards Paddock Bend for what is the 10th time in this 1 hour race. It's heading up towards the completion of lap number 10. Still the number 4 of Peter Knight leads by nearly 5 seconds now ahead of Jake Taplin. Adam Harding 3rd. Ryan Horton, the lightweight class leader, up to 5th overall. Oliver Smith leads the heavyweights in 13th. Knight
has absolutely checked out in the race lead here. 10 laps completed at Buckmore Park, and it's Knight out in front. They're side by side there for second position. Harding cutting to the inside on Taplin, and Taplin is like the cork in the bottle here. The rest of the drivers desperate to get past him and make their way through to try and challenge Peter Knight, because he is the driver who's able to escape away out in front while the rest of the pack all fight over second position. Taplin hasn't been out of the top 2 positions all year, but he certainly looks vulnerable here, and there's a decent selection of other drivers who've done a good job in 2019 who are up there and ready to capitalise on the fact that Taplin isn't quite at his best today by the looks of things.
Maybe the hot weather is affecting him slightly here, because he's lost second place. Best lap of the race for Anthony Amato in 4th place, 50.101. He's trying to fight his way back up the order, as is Taylor Senior, who's down to 6th as a result of that near spin at the hairpin that time through.
What was really interesting about that, Dave, is that Amato came over the line to set a new fastest lap of the race, and the 3 drivers directly behind him all set new personal best laps. Here we're going to see the incident again, diving down the inside the number 6, Taylor Senior, and go straight up the back of Adam Harding. They were all boxed in line astern, one behind the other on the inside line, because Taplin was holding them up, frankly, with his inside line down the straight. Now that he's been relegated down to 3rd position, it'll be interesting to see if he has the pace to try and recover. He's going to cut to the inside into turn number 1, and he is going to prize his way alongside. Harding is determined enough to hold on. Good action here. They've bunched back up again with Amato getting in on the act.
Into the hairpins they go then, still Adam Harding holding that second place. Here comes Anthony Amato. He's probably, as we said earlier, more desperate for points than most of them after a retirement in the previous round. Ryan Horton up behind them in the white race suit wants a piece of this too on the number 10. Then it's Senior, Scott, Dan Walker on his first appearance of the season going well in 8th. Adam Harrod and Luke Walker round out the top 10.
Mentioned the need for points for Anthony Amato after his non-score last time out. Of course, the consolation for the drivers right the way through the field in the opening rounds of the season, 2 drop rounds in terms of this 2019 championship, so each driver's worst 2 scores, if they're a 0, then that will also be factored in as a worse score. So there are still plenty of drivers who are eligible and contenders for this championship. As we watch the fight for second here, Harding now defending against Taplin and Amato.
They swing their way through the hairpins, and 3 karts line astern, taking a wider line on the entry. There is the number 2 of Amato, and it's worked for him. He moves alongside Jake Taplin. He's going to take 3rd place as they come down the sweep. He's up to 3rd. Taplin is down to 4th. Not used to seeing this, certainly.
That was all triggered by Adam Harding defending to the inside line, as diving back down the inside now, Taplin recovers 3rd position, but Harding triggered all of that because he was defending, held back the other driver on the inside line. Amato was wise enough to make the cutback move.
Jake Taplin holding off Anthony Amato now as Harding has dropped back into... no, he's still there in 2nd place, I apologise. 3rd is still Taplin, then it's Amato, but we've lost... Adam Harding for a second there. He's moved a little way clear of Jake Taplin. Then we've got Ryan Horton just keeping a watching brief behind them. It's going to be a 4-way battle again fairly shortly. It could be 5 because Taylor Senior has recovered. Behind him, Paul Gasson. He, of course, is a lap down after a pit stop.
Gasson out of the action as far as the top positions are concerned. Let's take the opportunity to have a quick rundown of the top three in each category. Knight, Harding and Taplin, of course, we've been seeing them all race out in front. This is the battle between them at the moment for second and third places on track. Ryan Horton, Ben Scott and Dan Walker are your lead trio in the lightweight category, running 5th, 7th and 8th respectively. Oliver Smith is still your class leader in the heavyweight, with Aidan Hayden and Neil Strachan line astern on the track with Matthew Hawes. So there's a good battle going on for 18th, 19th and 20th on track, and those are for the final two podium positions in the heavyweights. We're watching the action with the super lights, and at the moment it's all going off for third position. Taplin hasn't got the pace to run with Harding. He's now dropped more than half a second in arrears, and Amato's trying to get through.
At the inside, here comes Ryan Horton, the lightweight class leader. He wants a bit of this as well, all over the back of the number 2 of Anthony Amato there. Doesn't manage to get through, but he is really pushing hard. This is impressive from Ryan Horton, looking for what I believe will be his first class win of the season as well.
Horton could well get himself up onto the scratch podium. That would be quite an achievement in itself. You think back to the previous round when Paul Gasson was able to run at the front. It's Ryan Horton who is staying with the lead group this time around, but look at the way that Taplin is holding back Amato here. That's allowing Harding to escape away. That's exactly what the number 8 in this race will want, with Taplin, Amato, Horton and Taylor Senior just beginning to broach that gap now to Ryan Horton, who sits in 5th place.
Yes, only 0.6 of a second down as they came through over the stripe that time through. Yes, Senior has reeled in the number 10 of Horton, who's still attacking Anthony Amato ahead of him. The number 8 there trying to deal with a back marker. Matthew Dowling on the number 1 moves aside there, coming down the sweep, lets the lead group through. Peter Knight now leads by getting on towards 5 seconds. Battle continues to rage as they come down through Paddock Bend up the inside there. Taplin taking Amato, that was out wide. And he almost came to grief there coming through Paddock Bend. What's the order going to be as they come back through? Taplin ahead of Horton up into the 4th position now. Then we have got Amato and then Taylor Senior.
And Amato is now going to cut to the inside line into turn number 1, almost gets through. Contact warning goes up for Ryan Horton in all of that, which must admit that we didn't see that directly, so that must have been out of our shot as far as I'm concerned, because I didn't see anything major from Horton going off there, as Amato cuts down to the inside line now and makes his way past Horton. Plenty of action, and I would say there's plenty of rubbing between these guys as well.
Rubbing's racing, as they say. They're starting to engage in some lappery now as well. The number 7 of Andy Hardy running in the heavyweight category about to be lapped here. They catch him at Paddock Bend. Anthony Amato starting to pull away once again from the number 10 of Ryan Horton now. This is terrific stuff at the front.
Should also be added that all of these drivers who are being lapped are running their own races as well. There's no blue flags here at Buckmore Park. The drivers are all engaged in their own efforts to set the fastest possible laps, and therefore there's no requirement for them to get out of the way. The leaders have got to be skillful enough to make their way through lapped traffic, and Peter Knight is certainly doing that out in front, more than 6 seconds up now on Adam Harding, who sits second. But Harding has never really been able to break away. There was a brief moment while Taplin was fighting with Amato that he escaped away over half a second. Well, that gap's all gone away again. So close now from second all the way down to 5th, covered by just over a second.
They drop down towards Paddock Bend once again. Amato under pressure now from Taplin, who has caught the second place man. They're only separated by a couple of tenths as they came over the line that time through. Peter Knight's away and gone. He's missing all the fun, and Taplin ahead of Amato and Horton as they head up over the line this time. They could be 3 wide if they play their cards right very shortly, as they've caught Adam Harding coming up to lap the number 8 of Tom Wilde there, running in the heavyweight category. They get past him as up the inside. Amato into the hairpin side by side with Taplin, and he goes through.
Taplin really caught the back marker at just the wrong moment there into turn number 1. It's not an easy place to make a safe pass, and it hits his rhythm, and 2 drivers managed to get their way through. Amato and then Horton both making the pass. So Taplin now down to 5th position, and instead of being defensive, he's now going to have to attack.
Past the quarter distance of this race, just over 43 minutes of this 60-minute race to go. For each category, Knight, Harding and Taplin still lead 1, 2, 3 in the super lights. In the lightweight category, Ryan Horton still ahead of Ben Scott and Dan Walker, who are close for second in that category now. In the heavyweights, it's still Oliver Smith in the clear up there in 12th overall, and then Aidan Hayden, Neil Strachan and Matthew Hawes battling for second, 18th, 19th and 20th overall.
Amato really got held back coming through Cafe Curve on that previous lap, so once again all bunching up. It's Harding at the moment who holds that second place ahead of Amato. Then it's Ryan Horton. We've got Paul Gasson up with the lead group. He's showing that he could have been there, but for his misfortune earlier on in the race. That's racing. Then it's Jake Taplin and Taylor Senior, all within this lead group. As for drivers further back down the field, Ben Scott, to his credit, only just over 2 seconds back from P6, and Daniel Walker not too far behind. So second and third closely fought in terms of the lightweight category here at round 5 of BP Pro's Summer Series.
Leaders head up to complete their 22nd lap in this 1 hour race. Pretty arduous in these warm conditions. Over the line go the leaders. New fastest lap of the race for Anthony Amato. He's into the 49s now. 49.980 comes up on the timing screen. That's impressive from Amato. And Jake Taplin down in 5th place now behind Ryan Horton, who is driving superbly here. Paul Gasson thinking what might have been as he's up behind Horton. That could have been the fight for the lightweight class lead. And now Taplin under fire from Senior.
And Amato's got up ahead of Harding into P2, so it's now Knight, Amato and Harding. These drivers have been swapping and changing positions with impressive regularity throughout this race. I was just going to come back to that fastest lap of the race. That really is qualifying pace that we saw earlier on, with only one driver making it into the 49s. So spectacular stuff as Amato tries to reel in and pull away from the drivers behind and reel in Peter Knight up ahead. A good pass there from Amato.
The battle, the second place battle heads through Henry's Bend up towards the hairpins once again. Jake Taplin will be starting to get a little frustrated in there, stuck in this traffic jam of placings. Amato, Harding, Horton and the lap traffic, which is Gasson. Then it's Taplin and Senior. They're well ahead of the rest now. The gap 3 seconds back between Senior and Ben Scott.
Gasson could really do Ryan Horton a favour here unintentionally, although just as I say that, he cut through on the inside line. What I was going to say is Gasson closed up on this pack and is working his way through it now quite impressively. And if any driver ends up getting wedged behind Paul Gasson, that's going to create overtaking. And actually that's the perfect example, because Jake Taplin has managed to follow Paul Gasson through on Ryan Horton and through for 4th position. So Taplin's got the best part of 0.8 of a second to find on Adam Harding now to challenge for the podium, but he's got Paul Gasson between himself and that lead tree.
It won't take him long, I'm sure, to get past Paul Gasson here. We saw that Ryan Horton got moved offline there as Gasson went through, and that gave Jake Taplin the opportunity. If you lose the racing line, that's it. You're going to the back of the line, you're battling it.
Particularly with an absolute train like this, they're driving nose to tail, so the slightest of errors is punished quite severely. Horton's tagged back onto the tail of Taplin now, because Taplin hasn't been able to find a way past Paul Gasson. Gasson, to his credit, we know runs at the pace to be with the front runners, because we saw it last time out at round number 4. Of course, Paul Gasson, who was the lightweight winner at round 4, he was the winner of the lightweight category at round number 2 as well, and he actually started the season driving in the super light class. So we know that he's got the pace to run up towards the front, and I suppose that he could add a bit of extra spice to the race leading back.
It'll certainly be interesting to see if he can unlap himself here, because Peter Knight continues to dominate proceedings out in front, running all on his own at the moment, with 39 minutes of the race to go.
And even if he doesn't manage to unlap himself, Dave, if he stays with this lead group, we know that there tend to be around about 10 drivers, maybe fewer, who will end this race on the lead lap anyway. So if he can work his way through, he'll actually be picking up positions, even if he's not on the race leading line.
Yes, he'll effectively slipstream his way along, won't he, with the leaders, and as they lap runners, he'll pass them for positions. We have a look at a few more back markers here in among this group. We can see the number 4 there, Brian Atkins, a regular in the heavyweights category this season, going a lap down. Paul Gasson gets through there, so it's Amato in 2nd place, Harding 3rd, Taplin in 4th, also being lapped in there Michael Jones in the lightweight category number 14.
38 minutes then remaining here at Buckmore Park. Let's take a look at the current rundown. It's Peter Knight leading the way ahead of Anthony Amato and Adam Harding, Jake Taplin and Taylor Senior. We've got a group of 4 drivers separated by 1.5 seconds from second down to 5th. Our race leader is 6 seconds clear. Then it is the lead group in the lightweight category, all running one behind the other, 6th down to 10. Horton, Scott, Walker, Harrod and Morgan. And the first of our heavyweight runners is Oliver Smith sitting in P11, and he is right in a group of drivers at the moment with two Superlights directly behind him and directly ahead of him, the number 7 Bailey Morgan. So Smith in fact now shows up on the timing screen as having come through up into the top 10 last lap around. Smith finding some pace as this race goes on. He's almost 10 seconds clear of the next best runner in the heavyweights, which is Aidan Hayden down in 18th, Neil Strachan and Matthew Hawes rounding out our top 20.
So a great fast-paced race so far then, as we watch a couple of the back markers battling it out. Brian Atkins ahead of Michael Jones there at the lower reach of the top 30. Catch a glimpse of our second place battle going through there. Camacho, Harding, Taplin and Taylor Senior has now managed to get ahead of Ryan Horton back into the top 5 overall, so the first 5 places filled by Superlight class runners. Ben Scott in 7th place there, the number 9, coming up to lap this dueling pair. Ben Scott 7th overall. 2nd place in the lightweight category, but he is some 3.5 seconds behind Ryan Horton.
Ben Scott currently 3rd in the lightweight championship standings coming into this round at number 5, so a 2nd place finish would do him a good service in the championship as well, just keeping up that consistency in 2019's summer campaign. Always good to see some of the other drivers further down the order all involved in their action. Remember that we're seeing the top 20 on our timing screens, the top 20 we saw on our grid as well, but there are 38 drivers, so plenty of action going on right the way down the field. We return to 3rd position Adam Harding, just as Paul Gasson cuts down the inside of him, so Gasson bringing himself ever closer to the lead lap. He might make enough room here for Jake Taplin to come through as well. They're side by side now for 3rd position. Gasson's going to hold the inside line. Harding manages to hold the inside as well, and Jake Taplin and Adam Harding are now hoping that they can go with Paul Gasson and try and bridge that gap to Anthony Amato.
I think the lead group here are going to be a bit frustrated with Paul Gasson, because every time he passes one of them, he leaves the door open for another person behind him to get through and make up a place for position.
That's just one of those circumstances with Gasson having been into the pits earlier on in the race, of course. He's come back out, but out of position as they go side by side once again. There was even some bumper banging there for 3rd and 4th positions, and we'll see if Taplin ends up losing any more places. He holds on to the remaining 2, but unfortunately for him, he's relegated to 4th. Now he's going to try and cut to the inside into hairpin 1. Late move, but he's got it done. He moves out of the way, Adam Harding, and Horton's going to try and pass the pair of them. Horton's going to go all the way around the outside of hairpin 2. You don't see that work very often. He's now going to leave himself exposed to Taylor Senior. Horton though cuts the inside coming off the S's. He's run Adam Harding off the track altogether. Taplin manages to steer clear of all of that, and Taylor Senior has popped past Adam Harding, and Ryan Horton is up with them as well. Chaos.
That very nearly was chaos. I thought Adam Harding was heading for the tyre wall for a second there as he was tapped wide by Ryan Horton. I don't think that was intentional. It was just 3 into 1 didn't go as they came into the sweeper there. So a scary moment for Adam Harding, and that certainly lost him some ground. He's down into, I think, 4th place now.
It was a very ambitious move from Horton. He'd gone all the way around the outside of hairpin 2 and then tried to carry that speed through the S's, but ended up tagging the back of Adam Harding. Talking about tagging, Senior clapping into the side of Adam Harding as they come into hairpin 2, but he's managed to bundle his way through into 4th position. So Harding, that is, trying to recover. We're going to see the move again from Ryan Horton, and as I said, he tried to carry his speed. He moved Harding out of the way. Senior passed the pair of them, and now Harding and Horton are trying to recover on Taylor Senior, who's managed to get a bit of a buy one get one free offer there and come through for 4th position.
Taylor Senior couldn't believe his luck, I don't think, there, having recovered from a near spin earlier on. He's been able to make up 2 places in that one move. Now he's going after Jake Taplin, who's still not quite on his ultimate pace. Not surprising, we see Ryan Horton get a warning for contact for that move on Adam Harding. Peter Knight still leads this by 5.8 seconds with Anthony Amato second, and he's now gone clear to the tune of nearly 3 seconds over Jake Taplin as these 4 continue to squabble behind.
Spot on call for Ryan Horton to get that contact warning. He was never going to squeeze his way through coming off the chicane, and he just put his front wheels into line and was always going to connect with Adam Harding. Unfortunately for Harding, he ended up losing a position. Talking about losing a position, Jake Taplin, to my eyes, was about to lose third place there going into Garda. See if Taylor Senior has managed to hold it. He has. So Taylor Senior is up to third position, and Adam Harding sees this as an opportunity. Taplin, though, has been masterful at covering the inside line into turn number 1 and manages to steady the ship in P4.
This is a better run by Taylor Senior. Are we going to see him on the podium today? There's a long way to go yet, 32 minutes still to go, so we're not yet at halfway as they come to lap the number 13 of Paul Rafferty. Hoping he doesn't impede them too much. No, Senior's got through okay as they come down into the sweeper down towards paddock. Now the back marker moves off to the runoff area to let them through. Adam Harding trying to recover. He's all over the back of Jake Taplin, who's just not on the pace today at all.
Taplin, though, has got the run on Senior, who was held up by a back marker heading into Garda. Jake Taplin's been given a contact warning for his efforts on earlier on in this lap. Senior's managed to hold on to the position from Taplin, and both have safely negotiated lap traffic, but Taplin's got the run into turn number 1, can't make a move. So Senior holds on to P3 with Taplin and Harding directly behind. Taplin again goes to the inside. It's going to be a late move, and Senior decides to back out of it. The problem is he can't get the cut back because Harding is there. And now Harding is on the outside trying to get across to the inside, drives mid-track on hairpin 2. They're going to go side by side. Taplin's covered off Senior, and that allows Adam Harding to come through into 4th position. That worked out perfectly for Adam Harding.
That was a beautiful bit of driving by Adam Harding there, round the outside on the exit of hairpin 2. As we said earlier, don't see that very often. And now he's having a go at Taplin as well for 4th place. This is superb stuff. Peter Knight's missing all the fun here, as his brother. The lead gap has come down a little between him and Anthony Amato, 5.1 seconds. And here's the battle for 3rd place heading up over the line. It's now Taplin, Harding, Senior, and Horton still keeping a watching brief behind them.
Taplin's been doing a great job of defending all race. The problem is, while he's defending, Anthony Amato is escaping. 6 seconds now, the gap between 2nd and 3rd position. So there's no doubt this is where the action is, this is where the race is, but our 2 race leaders aren't seeing any of it. Peter Knight for Anthony Amato after his brilliant break, and Taplin defending superbly. Harding just desperate to get past and try and build a buffer. He has been ahead of Taplin on a couple of occasions during this race, but on neither occasion has he really been able to break away.
Well, maybe now he will get the chance, but Jake Taplin will do anything he can to defend his position here as we come towards the halfway mark in this 2019 BP Pro Summer Series, round number 5. It's Peter Knight, Anthony Amato, Jake Taplin, top 3 in the superlight category still. In the lightweights, it's Ryan Horton from Ben Scott and Dan Walker. In the heavyweights, Oliver Smith and Aidan Hayden 1st and 2nd. The other heavyweight runners have dropped back a little now off the top 20 timing screen, the likes of Matthew Hawes and Neil Strachan.
Well, we're watching Andy Hardy towards the back of the field, and he's got a group right up behind him, which is our lead group, the drivers we've been focusing on from 3rd position down. So he's going to be the next one of the lap runners that they try to make their way through on. So it'll be interesting to see if any of them manage to capitalise on that to make an overtake. We saw Peter Knight flashing through, then it's Anthony Amato flashing through 5 seconds further back, and then a long old wait, but we pick them up now, and Paul Gasson has already managed to pass Andy Hardy, but then just behind Hardy is our group from 3rd position, and it's Taylor Senior who's managed to find his way past Adam Harding now up into P4. So those 2 still swapping and changing.
Yes, we caught a glimpse there of Jake Taplin. Here he comes up into this little group. He's got Paul Gasson out in front. He won't worry about him. Also lapping the number 5 cart there. That's Tim Herbert running in the heavyweight category, one of the front runners in the points there. As Taplin continues to pull clear of this group, Andy Hardy will move aside, I think, and let them through. He'll be lapped for a 2nd time. Nearly a bit of rubbing there between Taylor Senior and Adam Harding into Paddock Bend. The lead gap has come down again. Anthony Amato, he's very slowly catching Peter Knight up front. It's down to 5.1 seconds now.
Good pace from Amato. Not easy when you're in amongst lap traffic to be able to set consistent lap times, and of course Knight will be the first one to come to those lap runners, so whether that's a disadvantage remains to be seen as Horton gets up the inside of Harding. Harding manages to get the power down nicely coming off turn 2, and manages to hold on to position. But Ryan Horton, he's up there battling with the big guns. The problem for him now is that while these 3-4 drivers have been scrapping amongst themselves, Ben Scott has been able to gradually close down and may have an opportunity to go for the class lead in the coming laps.
Yes, he's only a couple of seconds down on Ryan Horton. Now there is Scott, the number 9 with the Union flag crash helmets. Dan Walker, number 17, on his first appearance of the season, still third in the lightweight class. Then it's Adam Harrod on the number 1. Behind him the 14, who is a lap down. It's Michael Jones.
Taplin has pulled well clear now of Taylor Senior. It'll be interesting to see whether that gap comes down in the coming laps. Taplin managed to break clear of the 2 back markers that we'd highlighted before these drivers even got to them, and the rest ended up getting bunched up in key twisty areas of the circuit, down the hill, through the sweep, into Garda. They lost a lot of time, so Senior, who you see here in 4th position, up ahead of Harding, but we did have 4 karts separated by a second. We've now only got 3 karts separated by just over a second now in that fight for what is now a battle for 4th position.
And Jake Taplin seems to be finally finding his pace and starting to go after the 2 leaders. Goes one of our laps traffic there, the number 12 of Jack Bird, certainly the most colourfully dressed driver on the circuit today. He's about to be lapped by this group as we look a little further back in the order. There is our leader, Peter Knight, who's just lapped a group of drivers in the heavyweight category.
Here is Peter Knight then on the number 4. 5 seconds clear at the moment of Anthony Amato, with Jake Taplin in 3rd position. I suppose the consolation for Taplin is that he knows that the gap built by the 2 race leaders was done in half a race, so why not in the second half of the race? That gap might well come down. Oliver Smith fighting with Max Mooney at the moment over P11, and Max Mooney, who remember is our class leader in the lightweight category, was the lightweight winner at the opening round, has found himself 6th in class here today. So Max Mooney not exactly where he might have hoped to find himself, 11th on track, but now that he's got clear of Oliver Smith, he'll hope to bridge the gap to Bailey Morgan up ahead of him.
The battle we're watching at the moment is for 3rd place rather in the heavyweight category. Neil Strachan on the number 3, Alex Jones on number 10, and the number 2 kart piloted by Matthew Hawes. They're fighting for 20th place overall, so the heavyweights battling just as heavily as the super lights are at the front, and the lightweights in the lower reaches of the top 10 as well.
Seeing Ryan Horton as well, still in the action, as up to 19th position is now lapped. Just put a glimpse of Peter Knight getting ahead of Ashley West, so West in 19th place on track, being lapped by Peter Knight. They come over the line now, that group. And as you said, Dave, plenty of action going on right the way through the field, with 25 minutes remaining here in round 5 of Buckmore Park's Pro Series Summer Series.
Up at Garda last time through, the number 2 of Matthew Hawes got past the number 10 kart of Alex Jones up into 4th in the heavyweight category, and what is now 21st overall. They're being lapped by our 2nd place overall driver Anthony Amato, who's closed the gap a little once again. 4.8 seconds now between Knight and Amato, and the gap to Jake Taplin is another 7 seconds or so.
Now, in different types of 4-wheeled racing, you would be accustomed to seeing a blue flag come out, everyone jumping out of the way, but this is racing at its rawest. And it's not just a test of how fast can Peter Knight go when he's got clear track in front of him. It's also a test of how quickly can he work his way through traffic. And at the moment, it's Anthony Amato who's doing the better job of that. Again, on that last lap, the gap comes down by 1/10 of a second or so. With 42 laps into this race, but we've still got 24 minutes remaining on the clock. So no shortage of opportunity for Anthony Amato to go after our race leader.
He got the gap down by just over 1/10 on that lap once again to Peter Knight, so he is reeling him in slowly but surely here. 24 minutes left on the clock, as you say, Alex, down towards Paddock Bend again. Anthony Amato is flying through these back markers. This is the battle for 3rd in the heavyweights and 20th overall that we're watching, as he has just lapped. His next group ahead, Ashley West is in among that group in the number 16 kart, also number 8 of Paul Bishop, and Dante Dillon on the number 2, the next few karts to go a lap down.
Still 2 seconds the gap between Ryan Horton and Ben Scott in terms of the lightweight category, and Horton has now become tailed off from what is a nose-to-tail battle between Harding in 4th position and Senior in P5, and those two have been able to make no impression on Jake Taplin, who still sits in what is an increasingly comfortable third position as we see them go side by side further down the order. That is Matthew Hawes, I think, who is in action with Neil Strachan.
It's about to make up another place here, or is he? No, Neil Strachan holds him off for third in class and 20th overall. They're well behind Ollie Smith, who leads the heavyweights in a superb 11th overall, having got into Q3, don't forget, getting into the top 10 on the grid. Good effort by Ollie Smith.
Don't forget that the action we saw between the three drivers there with blue number boards, that is for a podium place. Neil Strachan sits behind Aidan Hayden on track, and now he sits behind Alex Jones as well. So Jones making his way through the field quite nicely, actually, and now up to third on the track. The heavyweight points leader, remember, only started down in 27th position, so he's up into 20th now, and that is good enough for P3 in the heavyweight class.
Race leader Peter Knight again cuts the left-hander at Pullman's very, very tight indeed there. He's almost clipping the barrier on the inside every time through. He needs to take it carefully here. He's placing the kart with absolute precision, keeping a cool head here out in front. He comes up on the next of the back markers. He's still clear of Amato. 5 seconds was the gap last time through. We'll see what it's going to be this time around. It's 5.1 seconds. He's increasing his lead once again.
So Peter Knight has negotiated his mid-race wobble, and with just over 20 minutes remaining is starting to look comfortable now. Ahead of Anthony Amato, who's got to negotiate lap traffic. Up ahead of him there is Ashley West, who sits in 18th position on the track. He's not far behind Paul Bishop and Dante Dillon. So opportunity for Ashley West to gain some positions here. West, who, remember, we saw racing in the karting Race of Champions here at Buckmore Park, who did a good job in that event. He'll be looking to gain some positions with Dillon and Bishop directly ahead of him.
So 21 and a half minutes or so left to go. Peter Knight continues to dominate. A rather easier run than round 4, where it was 3 karts virtually welded together for the entire race, and it was by just a few hundredths of a second that Peter Knight took his first win of the summer season, having things a little more clear cut out in front this time. He's coming up to lap another of the super light runners. That's Douglas Idle, number 9, goes a lap down. Next to be lapped will be the number 4 of Brian Atkins from the heavyweight category.
Peter Knight then looking good out in front here, and if he can pick up the greatest share of championship points, that will do him a real favour. He missed the opening round of this 2019 season, but he's had 3 podium finishes since then, 3 top 3 finishes in terms of scratch race positions since then as well. So he is up in 4th in the championship standings already, and with 2nd and 3rd well and truly within touch, because Fraser Brunton, who has already been a class winner in 2019, misses round at number 5, and that gives an opportunity for Knight and Amato, as well as Harding, who are directly behind him in the point standings, to move through. Of course, what we don't yet know is how things are going to shake down in terms of the drop round, because it doesn't necessarily mean the end of someone's championship challenge if they missed a round, such as Peter Knight, who missed that opening round of this 2019 season, but is now leading here.
We watch Anthony Amato lapping some of the lightweight class runners. Number 8, Paul Bishop, with the orange Eddie Irvine lookalike crash helmet there, and the number 2 as well. Going a lap down, that's Dante Dillon, running in 16th and 17th place, those two. So the leader's already well into the top 20. As Alex said earlier, we are likely to get less than 10 runners on the lead lap, given the pace of the leaders here.
Peter Knight really going like a train out in front. Anthony Amato is matching his pace. The drivers in 3rd position down are not doing so at the moment, as Bishop looks to the inside on Dante Dillon, and Dillon does a Max Verstappen swerve at the last moment, and Bishop is now going to cut through into hairpin 1. He's going to be very brave, and that was a bit naughty to an extent, and we'll see if Dillon tries to give him a taste of his own medicine. He does so. Bishop was not even halfway alongside there as he made his way into hairpin 1. He's going to get the cut back off hairpin 2 though. Again the pair touch, again they're side by side. Ashley West says, thank you very much, I think I'll have a go at the pair of you now, as they head down to the bottom of the circuit. West is boxed out for the moment by Bishop. Dillon's done a good job of defending, but he's so worried about looking over his shoulder that he's hemorrhaging pace here compared to Bishop and West, who are now tucked right up behind him. A hand up there from Dante Dillon, and it looks as though Dante Dillon is struggling here to keep Bishop and West behind him.
In fact, I think Dante Dillon was pulling up there, the number 2, so possible problems there as we watch Anthony Amato in the number 2. We mentioned Max Verstappen there. That was nearly a Verstappen and Vettel moment we had between Bishop and Dillon, but Dillon with problems, it would seem now. He's, I think, pulled into the pits possibly.
Yes, I did see Dante Dillon putting his hand up as he came through Cafe Curve, and that is the recognised symbol of I'm pulling into the pits. So whatever problem that was, Dante Dillon looks as though he is out of the leading battle, which is a shame because there was good three-way action there between Bishop, Dillon and West. It promotes Ashley West into 17th position. Paul Bishop now consolidating P16, and good action going on further up in that class as well between Rob Jones and Max Mooney, who are separated by just over a tenth of a second, having swapped places last lap around.
Yes, Max Mooney has had a strong start to the season this year, but has been fairly quiet ever since. He's down in 13th place and 7th in class at the moment, chasing after number 4 of Rob Jones. Adam Harding and Taylor Senior continuing to swap places, incidentally, for 4th place overall here. It's still Peter Knight leading by over 6 seconds ahead of Anthony Amato. I think Amato struggling slightly to deal with some of the back markers possibly.
Mooney is still the points leader in the lightweight category by some 12 points over Rob Jones, and then Ben Scott just 1 point further behind. The biggest problem Max Mooney has got probably is Paul Gasson, who admittedly is not among the leaders at the moment. He has just popped himself up into 20th place in this race by staying on the lead pace and following them through as they make their way through lap traffic. But Gasson, who missed the opening round of the season in the lightweight category because he started the campaign, of course, in the super light, well, he's had 2 wins since then, and once you take out everyone's 2 drop rounds, Gasson will be looking in a very strong position indeed for that lightweight class.
He nearly had somebody go straight on at one of the hairpins there. Number 9, Douglas Idle, in the super light category, almost went off. He loses out to Ashley West on the number 16 card. He's up to 17th now, chasing Paul Bishop. Behind then the battle for second in the heavyweight category, Aidan Hayden and Alex Jones. Oliver Smith still dominating the heavyweight class today. Leading lightweights is still Ryan Horton in 6th overall. He's only just behind the battling pair of Harding and Senior.
Not the first time either that Oliver Smith has dominated this category. He was the winner at rounds 2 and 3, and he, like Paul Gasson, didn't score in his class at the opening round either, Smith. So Smith has points to make up. It also means if you miss a round or you miss a couple of rounds, okay, you don't necessarily rule yourself out of the championship, but it does mean that all of your remaining scores will count. So there's not much room for error now for Oliver Smith, and he hasn't put a foot wrong so far in this race.
Also going well is the number 8 there, Paul Bishop, 16th overall, but he's got Ashley West right on his tail now as they come through the back marker traffic. Plenty of battles in the minor placings for the lightweight category. It doesn't matter where you are in the classification, you can still have a good race with the drivers around you, as we're seeing here from Bishop and West. They're actually fighting with 10th in class at the moment. So
Bishop was behind Dante Dillon, got tucked up behind Dillon, and West managed to close on the pair. Now that Dillon has gone into the pits and Bishop has been released into P16, he still hasn't been able to pull away from Ashley West, and it's great to see these two going nose to tail with, as you just said, Dave, action right the way through the field. They're about to come up on lap traffic here. Bishop gets held at bay into hairpin 1. He manages to squeeze his way through coming off hairpin 1. He's going to get stuck on the outside here, but he prepares the cutback quite nicely for hairpin 2. West stays behind. The back marker cuts in directly in front of Ashley West, and that's a bit of a disaster for West in the number 16, because you could see how much time he lost going through the chicane. Just bad timing, and unfortunate for West. He's going to cut his way through now, but he was held up all the way down the hill, the number 16. So I think that's Bishop escaping away now in P16.
It certainly is. And I've just noticed on the timing screen as well, Paul Gasson is up into 20th place, having gone a lap down early on. He's still a lap down. He's back up into the top 20 now. Leader is still Peter Knight by 5.6 seconds over Anthony Amato. Taplin and the rest now well behind.
What that means is that Gasson is only a couple of positions now behind Ashley West as he flicks up as having come past Alex Jones, the third of the heavyweight runners. Once Gasson has dispatched Hayden as well, he will then be able to be on the tail of West, Bishop, Lee, Zakauskas, and then Max Mooney, all of whom are in the same class as him. So once he's past Hayden, every position he makes up will be for class points.
Peter Knight not worrying about that. He's just keeping a perfect line out in front. He's got just under 14 minutes to go, so we're at the three-quarter mark just over of this race. Knights from Amato, Taplin, Harding and Senior, your first 5, all in the super light class. And then next 5 runners in the lightweight category headed by Ryan Horton.
Interesting to see what happens here with Knight, because he's about to come up on the group of Max Mooney, Rob Jones and Oliver Smith. It'll be an opportunity to catch a glimpse of our heavyweight class leader as well. But Mooney is just half a second behind Rob Jones. They are in the same category. They are 12th and 13th in the scratch race as well. And as we see Peter Knight make his way through, it'll be interesting to see how they're getting on in their fight. But we're watching Knight with 13 minutes remaining on the clock in this race, 55 laps under his belt, and he's led pretty much from start to finish exactly as he would have wanted. Mooney is the driver he's about to approach here.
That's Max Mooney in the black and orange race suit there, chased down by the race leader Peter Knight, who's into his 57th lap now, and this terrific little fight in the lightweight category going on ahead of him. Rob Jones and Max Mooney, two of the drivers fighting for the points lead. Also in there, the number 6, who is further behind. That's Chris Goy.
Jones has done a good job in this race because he got off to a really sluggish start, and he ended up losing something like 6 positions off the line on that number 4 cart. But he's up in 12th position in this race. He's fending off Max Mooney for the moment at least, and we'll see if they get shuffled up as Peter Knight makes his way through. That gap is now down to under 6 seconds once again between Knight and Amato, but time ticking away and time running out now if Amato wants to strike against Peter Knight.
Race leader Peter Knight just sits in behind Max Mooney there. He's not really pushing him. He's just let him know that he's there. Doesn't want to take any risks here, Peter Knight. Back marker's the greatest danger for him. Now he dives down the inside of the hairpin, gets through on Max Mooney, running 13th overall. Next target is Rob Jones.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because Peter Knight lost a second on that last lap while he was tucked in behind back marker traffic, but at the same rate, if you absolutely risk it and end up getting caught up in back markers, that could cost you a lot more than 1 second. So Knight is being patient at the moment, but the gap is down below 5 seconds between Knight and Amato, and if things carry on that way, then we could have a real battle on our hands between the number 4 and the number 2 in the latter stages here. We're about to see Knight coming up on Rob Jones now. Jones and Mooney were line astern, but Mooney seemed to get perturbed by Knight coming up behind him. He's lost a lot of time. Knight comes through down the inside into turn number 1, and that was easy enough on Rob Jones. You think about how difficult it was for Knight to pass Mooney. Jones was much more compliant.
The gap is down to 4.68 seconds now between the 2 race leaders, so that'll be the time lost by Peter Knight getting past Max Mooney. Next to be lapped is our heavyweight class leader Oliver Smith, we got a glimpse of there in the red and white suits, number 11 in 11th place overall. Oliver Smith doing a great job, doing exactly what he needs to do. He is the only heavyweight runner on the lead lap at the moment, and he is about 2.5 seconds behind Bailey Morgan, who sits in P10. He's directly ahead of Rob Jones, who we saw get lapped by Peter Knight, and Knight here is steaming on towards the tail of Oliver Smith, and Rob Jones will now be hoping that he can tuck in as Knight closes up through the field. We said it earlier on in this race that when you see a driver go through who's faster than you, what you're absolutely desperate to do is tuck onto their tail and try and follow them as they come through the field. We're now watching Anthony Amato, who sits in 2nd position, see how he laps negotiated lap traffic here. Gets past Ramunas Kauskas, the Lithuanian-born driver there on number 11. He's currently in 14th overall and 8th in the class. We have a new leader in the lightweight class, incidentally. Ben Scott has just taken the lead from Ryan Horton in the battle for 6th overall. It's a good run through the field by number 9, Ben Scott. Great effort, because if you remember back to the early stage of this race, Ryan Horton was running right at the front with the lead group, and Ben Scott was a good few seconds behind. We then caught up with him again. He was 2 seconds behind, but he's managed to get in front, and actually he's not very far from starting to upset some of the super light runners. The top 5 are super light, then the next 5 in the order running to the end of the top 10 are lightweight. That's denoted by the black board that they run, the number board on the front and rear of the carts. And then Oliver Smith is the only heavyweight runner inside the top 18. So Smith really punching above his weight quite literally. He sits in 11th position on the track. But it's Knight and Amato, the big 2 going head-to-head in the final 10 minutes of our race. Yeah, it's just between those 2 now for the overall victory. Anthony Amato recovering well after his retirement from round 4. Peter Knight looking to make it 2 wins in a row. Jake Taplin, I think, will now have settled for 3rd position, looking for the title this year, keeping up his unbeaten run of podium finishes. A great run by Adam Harding in 4th. Taylor Senior, who's had a couple of absences this year as well, going well in 5th position.
things starting to settle down in this race. Senior in his first appearance since round number 2 earlier on this campaign in April. So as you said, Dave, back in the action here today and running 5th position out on track. Senior may well have his hands full with Ben Scott in the coming laps, because you think that Scott has closed in quite nicely in comparison with Senior, who sits in P5. That obviously won't affect Senior's position in terms of points, but could affect his position in terms of track position out on the circuit. He's 2 seconds behind Adam Harding now, so it doesn't look likely at this stage of the race anyway that he's going to be able to make further progress, because Harding has managed to break clear.
Last man on the lead lap is currently number 7, Bailey Morgan, in 10th overall, 5th in the lightweight class. He's only a young gun, chasing down Adam Harrod for 4th place in that category. Anthony Amato, meanwhile, has just got past Max Mooney, the 13th place driver. Amato 6.2 seconds down now on Peter Knight. 7.5 minutes to go, so his chances of catching Peter Knight looking remote.
Well, that's interesting, because we talked earlier on about how Peter Knight had lost the best part of 1.5 seconds negotiating those 2 drivers in 12th 13th and 14th position at the time. And Anthony Amato has lost exactly the same amount working his way through on them. So when you do see leaders approaching back markers at different rates to the drivers behind them, that gap does oscillate, and that's exactly what's happened here. It's back up to over 6 seconds.
Nearly clipping one of the back markers there through Paddock Bend. Anthony Amato, I think it's Tim Herberts on the number 5 in the heavyweight category, and Bailey Morgan meanwhile has made up another place. We mentioned him a moment ago. He's got ahead of Adam Harrod now, up into 9th and 4th place in the lightweight category. 2 number 5s racing together here. That is Max Mooney and Tim Herberts. Lightweight passes heavyweights.
And Mooney, in terms of track position geographically on the circuit, is making his way out of hairpin 2, and he's directly behind Anthony Amato, who's put a lap on him. So the top 2 now have managed to lap Max Mooney, but a strong showing nonetheless from Mooney, who sits in 13th position on the circuit at the moment. Only 3 lightweight class runners now running on the lead lap: Ben Scott, Ryan Horton and Daniel Walker, and as things stand, they will be our podium trio in that class. Podium trio as things stand in the heavyweights: Oliver Smith, Aidan Hayden and Alex Jones. Hayden and Jones still line astern on the circuit, 19th and 20th positions out on track, as we pick up Bailey Morgan and Adam Harrod on the fringes of the top 10. Here's that action you were talking about, Dave.
They've just been lapped by race leader Peter Knight. We mentioned these 2 a couple of laps ago. Morgan staying ahead only just from Adam Harrod, who's back up the inside as they head towards the sweep. He doesn't quite manage to get the overlap on Bailey Morgan there as they head down towards Paddock Bend. Great fight going on there for 9th place as the leader continues to slide his way clear. 6 seconds still the lead for Peter Knight over Anthony Amato. 5.5 minutes of this race to go.
Knight from Amato then by 6 seconds. Jake Taplin now 14 seconds back in 3rd position. I can't see that 2nd place changing hands. Harding and Senior not too far behind. 1.5 seconds the gap between Harding and Senior. Scott, Horton, Walker, Morgan and Harrod. And we're watching Morgan and Harrod on the fringes of the top 10. And Harrod's got a good run there, coming off Henry's Bend. Going mid-track is Morgan into hairpin 1, but he's going to run deep here. There was a back marker spinning directly up ahead of him, and there was no opportunity there on the yellow flags for Harrod to make his way through. But Harrod, looking faster than Morgan at this stage of the race, has 5 minutes to make the pass.
Yes, couldn't identify who that was who spun at hairpin 1 there, but we haven't seen much incident in this race, just a couple of spins. That's how we like it here at Buckmore Park, certainly.
Great level of racing in the BP Pro Summer Series. Fast lap times being put in out in front by Peter Knight and by Anthony Amato, and full credit to Amato because he got held up in the chasing group in the early stages of the race, but he's proven in the second half of this race that he absolutely can run on the pace of Peter Knight out in front. As we switch back to Amato, the man who I was just talking about a couple of moments ago, just as he comes through to lap Rob Jones, who sits in 12th position.
Just over 4 minutes of this race to go now. Amato is closed by a couple of tenths. He's not going to catch Peter Knight here, though. I don't think we've got about 5 or 6 more laps of this race to run. I think Amato is going to have to settle for 2nd place here, barring any disaster for Peter Knight up front. But Knight has driven a perfect race here. He started on the front of the grid. He has led every lap of this race, which is a rare feat, it has to be said, here at Buckmore Park.
Probably just over 5 laps remaining, as you said, because we had 72 laps here for round number 4, and we've run a pretty similar pace here at round number 5. Coming over the line then to start another lap, Anthony Amato, 67 now in the bank for Peter Knight, and he's just got to keep it on the island for the remaining lap. That gap coming down ever so slightly, but Knight can afford to relax a little bit in the closing stages. He's got plenty in hand over Amato.
So everybody up to 8th place has now been lapped as we expected. Amato comes up to lap Oliver Smith on the number 11, who's got the heavyweight class in the bag in 11th overall. He's 8 places up on his nearest rival Aidan Hayden in 19th. The battle for the lead in the lightweight still going on between Ben Scott and Ryan Horton. They're 20 seconds clear of Dan Walker.
Worth mentioning Paul Gasson still working his way through the field. He's up to 16th position ahead of Paul Bishop and Ashley West, so extra points coming the way of Paul Gasson after his dramas earlier on in the race. Amato now cuts the inside line on Oliver Smith, who gives the signal to let Amato know he knows he's there and allows him to come through in straightforward fashion. That gets a thumbs up and a thanks from Anthony Amato, our driver who sits in 2nd position at the moment, 5 seconds down on our race leader, Peter Knight.
He's closed by nearly a second on that last lap, so he's Peter Knight just taking it easy here perhaps in the closing stages, not taking any risks with any back markers, as Paul Gasson makes up another place on that lap. He's up to 15th now after his earlier problems, showing what could have been really in the lightweight category. Amato coming up to lap Adam Harrod now, who's in 10th place overall. Peter Knight is all set for victory though with 2 minutes on the clock.
Remember that those two, Morgan and Harrod, are still engaged in their own fight in the closing stages. Harrod has dropped back ever so slightly from Bailey Morgan in the fight for P9, but nonetheless still fighting over that position with just over 1.5 minutes remaining on the clock. And it's Peter Knight who we rejoin out in front here, looking very much in control, but he has got a big group of lap runners or potential lap runners directly ahead of him. Notice Daniel Walker, our 8th place runner, is within that group.
Yes, he just needs to take it easy through them now. Peter Knight just pick his place to lap them. He can choose where to pass them almost now. He lost another half second there. The gap came down to 4.6 to Anthony Amato on that last lap. It's the number 12 just ahead of the leader here. That's Anthony Hoare, his first appearance of the season on kart number 12. As they come through over the line, Peter Knight just picking his place to pass the back markers. He tries the inside into turn 1, gets past one of them. He's still got 3 ahead of him.
See the number 17 there, 2 karts ahead of him. That's Daniel Walker, 50 seconds back from the lead, so he's not far away from going a lap down now. 50 seconds remaining on the clock, so this one and one more for Peter Knight as he comes through into the S's. Peter Knight negotiating another lap runner, but as you said, Anthony Amato really pushing in the closing stages. A shame for the number 2 that he's left it just a little bit too late.
And the outside goes of Peter Knight. Oh, he's been tagged by a back marker. He spun it. Peter Knight has gone. I can't believe that. Has Amato got through? Yes, he has. He went through on the outside. What on earth happened there?
Well, we'll see if we can get another look at it, Dave, because it looked to me as though James Rudd thundered down the inside. He was off the conventional racing line that we tend to see the leaders run into paddock bend. Here we see it. So Rudd's gone down the inside and Knight is on the standard racing line, only he can't take it. And unfortunately for him, the back marker continues pushing on, coming off paddock bend and spins him round. And Knight admittedly probably could have run a little bit wider as he made that contact and steered clear and off into the runoff area, but he was unable to make that judgment quite quickly enough, and he's lost the race lead. Amato is our race leader and gifted it on the final lap.
Peter Knight is going to be absolutely furious as he heads round on the last lap. He's still second, but Anthony Amato, I'm not sure if he even realises he's taken the lead because he was in a group of back markers himself as he went round the outside there. He'll be coming through towards the checkered flag. There is the number 2 of Anthony Amato, having failed to finish round 4. He's going to make up for it in the best possible way. Comes up to the line, takes the checkered flag. Anthony Amato wins round 5 of the BP Pro Summer Series here at Buckmore Park. And from his reaction, I don't think he even realises he's won.
Oh, I suspect he does. I suspect that he will have realised as he saw Peter Knight spun round, and he will not have believed his good fortune. 2.5 seconds, the victory margin in the end for Amato over Knight. Taplin gets third, and quite comfortably so in the end over Adam Harding. Harding the best part of a second ahead of Taylor Senior. Top three finishers in the lightweight category, Horton, Scott and Walker. So Ryan Horton recovering the race lead in that class, and Walker doing a good job staying on the lead lap. He'll be the last of our drivers, or among the last of our drivers, to meet the checkered flag. Rounding out the top 10, Bailey Morgan and Oliver Smith. Smith, who was the top heavyweight driver, with Aidan Hayden and Alex Jones finishing second and third. But real action right to the finish. For the majority of that race, it was the battle for second and third positions, with Knight pulling well clear out in front. Amato managed to break ahead of Taplin, Harding and Senior, and Amato in the end was in the right place at the right time to pick up where Knight left off after getting wiped out rather by James Rudd in the very closing stages.
Well, heading back into the pit lane then in almost disbelief, I would think, Anthony Amato, his first win of this summer season. Peter Knight will be absolutely distraught. He led all but one lap of that race, and it was the most important one. Just shows it's never over until that checkered flag goes out.
And that deserves full credit to Anthony Amato for his effort during that race. He continued to put in fast laps, and he continued to battle right to the finish.
2.65 seconds, the winning margin then for Anthony Amato over the unfortunate Peter Knight. Jake Taplin continuing his run of podiums. Ryan Horton taking the lead back in the lightweight category late on there. And further back in the order, the heavyweight category won by Ollie Smith, who finished in 10th place overall. Aidan Hayden and Alex Jones, his runners up in 19th and 20th. Further down the order, 23 carts on within a lap of the race leader. Liam Conway from the Superlights finishing back in 24th. And in the end, 36 carts going the distance. Luke Walker is a retirement. Dante Dillon was disqualified for being underweight. So 36 of the 38 going the distance.
Look at how that affects things in the championship points then, starting with our Superlight category, and it's Jake Taplin who still leads the way. And with 185 points compared to Liam Conway, Peter Knight moves up into third position. Anthony Amato is now just 1 point behind him. So those two have both moved above Fraser Brunton, who missed this round. Lightweight category, Max Mooney still out in front, but that gap has been narrowed. Mooney further down the field, and Ben Scott making up ground, as well as Rob Jones. So the top three now covered by just 10 points, and Paul Gasson not far behind as well. He'll be menacing once the drop rounds are taken into consideration. Heavyweight category, Alex Jones is still our class leader ahead of Neil Strachan and Aidan Hayden. No change in the order there, and Jones leads it by 17 points, with Hayden 10 points further back. So a good job from Hayden to make up points here today.
Well, thank you, Alex, for joining me here today. That concludes the action from Buckmore Park on this summer afternoon. Join us in August for round number 6 of the BP Pro Summer Series 2019. But for now, thanks for watching and goodbye.